Pues bueno, vamos al segundo episodio específico para relatos, ¿vale? En el capítulo anterior vimos los relatos de 1 al 8, en este veremos del 9 al 16, ¿vale? Vamos allá.
They're just like other people.
Pero pequeño.
They just happen to be very small and extremely strong.
These are stories that are common throughout Alaska. It's normally that people are the size from your elbow to the tips of your fingers, and they possess superhuman strength. So they may be tiny, but they can carry a whole caribou.
And if you go up north and you talk to a number of the people in the community, they'll talk about having seen the little people.
There's a place at home that we know, but we don't profess it to anybody.
But it's not like the boogeyman.
They can be mischievous, they can be ornery, or they can be helpers.
And every now and then, we might have the opportunity to see them, especially if they want us to see them.
The fact that it's across Alaska really tells you something about our history and how we interacted with nature around us.
Curioso. De todas formas, no son muy diferentes, por lo que he entendido yo, no son muy diferentes a los típicos duendes de según que otras culturas, ¿no? Son así seres muy de naturaleza, muy a veces traviesos, que no se suelen dejar ver, que viven alejados del resto de la gente, ¿no? Tienen como similitudes, la verdad que las culturas en general yo creo que tienen a veces sus similitudes en las leyendas y mitologías de cada una, ¿no? Pero bueno, vale, bien. Además, ya aquí vemos un ejemplo en el juego de que los hombres estos enanos eran los que le robaban el tambor al espíritu aquel, que hemos descubierto que era un espíritu, no era un hombre así todo random. Y fueron estos hombres enanos los que, ya digo, los que robaban el tambor al hombre aquel, que luego recuperamos, ¿no? Eso está hablando del spray, evidentemente. Ah, y la voladora, a ver que nos expliquen el resto de la voladora, porque no entiendo muy bien por qué el enemigo este chungo quería conseguir la voladora sí o sí. Hazte una, hijo mío, hazte una.
The bola is what we call kilometang. And the kilometang is made out of braided sinew tied out to some heavy bone which you could twirl. In my case, we're catching ducks.
When we're out whaling, sometimes the ducks start flying. And they're good for duck hunting. You know, if you're a whaling crew, you can't make too much noise. So you can't use a shotgun for getting some duck soup handy, you know? So bolo was a really handy weapon to use for catching ducks. You know, the ducks fly in, you throw it up and tangles up the bird, and down they go.
¿Os podéis creer que acabo de descubrir ahora en este vídeo que es el espíritu este de la naturaleza, el hombre este del tambor, el que nos da la boleadora? No me acordaba ya. Y se me había totalmente ido de la cabeza que era el hombre este que nos daba la boleadora. Pero no se supone que empieza ese juego con ella, que sale la niña está cazando animales también y tal. No sé, ahora me queda pilladísimo, no sé. Ya tendré que volver a ver los vídeos cuando los edite, pero me queda muy rayado con eso. Venga, vamos a ver el siguiente. En medio de la nada.
The scariest I've ever been, I was 12 years old. We floated out on a piece of ice while we were duck hunting. It was a bluebird day, just clear blue skies. And there was 3 of us, myself, my brother, and my dad. Next thing you know, we see this dark shadow on the ice. We look and it goes behind us. So we all jumped up, startled, and my dad, he started running. We got back to the ridge there. The ice had fractured, cracked, and broke off, and we were floating away. We were drifting. It was close enough to where my dad would have made it. He stopped and he thought about throwing us across, and if one of us was on the other side, we would be split up. So he stopped, and he just so happened to have a cell phone on him. 911 didn't pick up. That's the worst feeling in the world right there. 911 did not pick up. So he left a message because they record their calls. Once he had relayed that information, his cell phone died. That was the scariest moment I've ever had in my life. We were floating away and I thought we were left for dead. He kept calm during this situation. He's bringing out everything positive in this case. You know, I'm crying, my brother's freaking out. It went from clear blue to dense fog. Within a couple hours, we heard the chopper flying around, so they must have gotten our message. We thought we were saved, and then the chopper sound went away. So we lit some of the sled on fire. It's plastic. We thought black smoke in the fog would create some kind of marker. Chopper pilot had mentioned when we got rescued, you could see a glow in the fog, and he slowed down there, and sure enough, as soon as he slowed down, we got within visual. That was definitely the scariest moment of my life, was floating away and not knowing what the outcome was going to be.
Esto, si os acordáis, en el juego también pasaba con la niña, que hay un momento en el que estamos a la deriva en un de hielo, en un bloque de hielo, y no sé si os acordáis que según el juego estuvimos 2 días a la deriva. O sea, te imagínate estar 2 días a la deriva, ya no solo, como comenté en el display, el no tener comida, bebida ni nada, sino la incertidumbre de saber que estás a la deriva, en un puto bloque de hielo. Es decir, que ahí, si te acaba muriendo una cosa, te acaba muriendo otra, si no de otra. O sea, cuidadín con esto es bastante jodido, la verdad. Ya digo, en el juego pasa, o sea, que verdad que como es un videojuego es lo que tiene, no afecta tanto, ¿no? Pero pasa. Falta de hielo grueso. No sé qué significa esto, pero bueno, o sea, sé qué significa, pero no sé a qué viene. Vamos allá.
We're very much aware of the climate change. And it's been for many years, even before climatologists were noticing this change, Inuit were already saying, Sila alangoktok. Our climate is changing.
If the heat is going the way it is right now, for us it's going to be pretty bad. Different birds are coming, and they're coming earlier, and sometimes rain is more than what we want, because when there's more rain, we know it's going to melt the permafrost.
In my time as a young whaler, when I was 9 years old, we're hunting from ice that was about 25 feet thick. And there was giant icebergs already floating, coming by. That was the first signs of a changing climate. Ice that never broke before was now moving. Now, here it is 50 years later, we're hunting whale from ice that's 18 inches thick. There's no more thick ice.
It's creating a malfunction in our whaling season is what it is. Actually, more than that, all seasons in general.
I think we are more scientists than more people will realize. We have more knowledge of those things than people will ever know.
Ya ves. O sea, hace 50 años cazaban en hielos de grosor de 7,5 metros y ahora solo de medio metro. En 50 años de diferencia. No veas, es lo que tiene. El calentamiento global nos afecta a todos, pero evidentemente en zonas más frías, pues está clarísimo que afecta más, ¿no? Ahí el mínimo cambio de aumento de temperatura se nota mucho más. Bueno, una chica es una Nanook. Nanook.
My brother was out seal hunting. He got attacked from behind and managed to grab his knife and save himself. When he came to realize, oh no, it's a mother. We've always known traditionally that we avoid killing a mother. It's always been sacred to us to protect them. He had to present himself to the council, and so he was given the job to mother the baby, and we kept it. It got so big, it went over the barricade one day and got to the dog food, and that was an indication that, brother better go teach it how to survive on its own. So he did. I really got attached to the bear because I more or less grew up with it. And some days when brother took him walking, once in a great while he'd put me on the bear and I would ride on it like a horse. I was just happiest little girl in the world.
A ver a cuánta gente conocéis que tuviera un oso polar de mascota y que encima lo utilizara rollo caballo, ¿no? Para subirse a él y tal. Yo no digo nada. Que luego todo se sabe, pero vaya tela, vaya tela. Es lo que tiene, son culturas comparadas con nuestras bastante diferentes, no voy a engañar. Vida de subsistencia.
In, Arctic Alaska, hunting is a really important part of life. It's not just about going and shooting something, it's about going and putting food on the table. But more importantly, subsistence hunting isn't just about the insular family unit, it's about feeding the whole community. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about subsistence hunting in Alaska is that people go out and they'll go get, fish, or they'll get a caribou, and they'll get, seals and whales. And one of the first things they'll do is they'll say, oh, I need to take this to the elders. This isn't just about one individual surviving or one family surviving, it's about the whole community.
We didn't just go out and kill and put in a freezer. It's like a ritual that I learned from my parents.
It's all about relationship. I don't know. I think there's a lot of camaraderie involved, and just being out on the land or being out on the ocean. It's like getting back in tune.
I'd rather be out there. To me, once I go out there, it's the world that I learn from.
Vamos, exactamente igual que aquí. Eso de no pensar en uno mismo y pensar en la comunidad, igualito que aquí, ¿eh? Yo... Sí. Yo lo veo clavado. Eso sí que es verdad que, al menos en España, no voy a hablar de otros países, evidentemente, cada uno que tenga lo que tenga, pero al menos aquí en España se lleva mucho. Eso de no pensar en uno mismo y de pensar en los demás como comunidad. Sí. Vamos a ver el siguiente porque vaya puta mierda. Todo está vivo. Sí.
Now we spend all our time out in nature. You get very intimate with the world. And over time, if you're living that life, you start to sense that everything has a spirit. There's a consciousness in everything. Everything is alive. If everything is alive, then we want to respect it. And if we're going to use it, we want to use it respectfully.
What I try to tell my nephews and nieces, you love to hunt, you have to take care of the animals that you catch, preparing the food and eating the food that you catch.
Water provides you. The ice brings you life. It provides all those things that you need to be a part of your life.
That was something I grew up with. I grew up respecting the animals. I grew up respecting the land. And that, to me, that is why we as Inupiaq, as an Inupiaq culture, as an Inupiaq people, is why we're so successful.
Bueno, aquí casi diría como en el vídeo anterior, que no tanto, evidentemente, no tan bestia. Pero el rollo este de la naturaleza, de los animales, de cuidar las cosas que el planeta nos da, por decirlo de una manera, lo llevamos muy a ratos. Quizá a ratos, ahora sí, ahora no, quizá me interesa más, quizá me interesa menos. Allá cada uno con lo que entienda. Unidos a la supervivencia, va. Que este creo que es el último vídeo ya, de los 8 de este vídeo, vamos.
I think most central to the ideology of the Inupiat is the idea of sharing.
Being able to feed the community, feed others. That's why we hunt. In the old days, that's what you needed to survive.
The sharing is important because it's how the community survives together collectively.
We just give. That's how I grew up. That's the way I'm always going to be. Because of who we are, we always think about other people first.
If our people didn't share in the old days, we wouldn't have survived in this harsh, climate, environment.
Este vídeo es un poco relacionado con los anteriores. Realmente aquí tampoco han dicho nada especialmente nuevo. Bastante un poco relacionado con los anteriores. O sea que podría decir entre comillas lo mismo que he dicho Bueno, sea como sea, aquí están los 8 vídeos de este capítulo, repito. Voy a hacer, como son 24 vídeos de estos relatos, son 3 vídeos de 8 vídeos cada uno, ¿vale? 3 vídeos de, o sea, 3 vídeos de 8 relatos cada uno, que los relatos sí son vídeos, ¿no? Pero ya me entendéis. Y este creo que es el octavo de aquí, el 16avo, o el 16º, perdonad, hay que decir las cosas bien. Así que nada, en el siguiente vídeo, el tercer y último vídeo, en principio de relatos. No sé si luego con el DLC se bloquean más, pero en principio esto es lo que hay. Adiós.